The media wants to make a convenient narrative around the controversy around having Bad Bunny as the Super Bowl halftime show, as something as convenient as one side being open to diversity and another side not liking the fact that Bad Bunny is a person of color representing the Latino culture, which is not based on fact. Sure, there are some people who may not have wanted him because of his demographics. There are always fringes who do not like people for the way they look, speak, vote, or party affiliation. Others may not like the fact that the show was not understood by the bulk of the audience viewing the event, but the league is trying to grow its reach. They could have done it in a more balanced manner, but that is not really a big issue. Set aside the fact that Bad Bunny was the halftime show. Is he still controversial? Yes, not because of his background. He is an American and a global music star. At the same time, he is using his platform to spread messages that are not based on truth and fact, but political bias narratives and hysteria, essentially misinformation. Go back to the speech during the Grammys, where he called out ICE with a claim that they are removing Americans by force, breaking up American families. A lie that has been peddled by left-wing sympathizers as the narrative of choice, because it may appeal to some weak-minded people that are absent from the facts. The reality, of course, is that ICE is removing people who are here illegally and many times have other crimes besides the crime of illegal immigration. The fact is that illegal immigration is a crime and multiple violations make it a higher crime. Also, the vast majority of those being removed have multiple violations and crimes, violent or non-violent, which makes it a good thing to remove the criminal element from our society. Our communities should not be safe havens from those avoiding justice in their home nations. If these liberals were a victim of a crime, they would want to see justice be served and the person held accountable in a fair and just manner. Removal and return to the nation of origin is a fair approach to the problem that illegal immigration has caused. Now, why are there some people still peddling a clear and obvious lie that is so transparently dishonest? Because, like many narratives, there is a complete lack of intellectual honesty in the fact that the narrative creators will change their perceptions to account for the lie. As the Seinfeld line once said, if you believe it, then it is not a lie. So if you incorrectly believe that the people in North America and South America are all Americans, then you can convince yourself that Americans are being removed, when in fact the people being removed are not Americans. Inconvenient to their beliefs, Americans are people in the United States. People from Canada are Canadians. People from Mexico are Mexicans. People from Cuba are Cubans. People from the United States are Americans. Facts. Consider the thing that bothers many people who come from nations in the continent of Africa. Many of these left-wing sympathizers apply that same logic to call these individuals Africans, which is something people from nations on the continent of Africa do not like. Africa is a continent of 54 or 58, depending on recognized borders, with nations that have mostly distinct cultures, traditions, and norms that are unique to their identity. Now, we can agree that it would be nice if we could all get along better with our neighbors and work closer together to protect our common interests. But we cannot overlook the issues and political behaviors that have created problems that place wedges in cooperation. For instance, nations that have foolishly embraced poverty and political violence that comes with socialism in all its forms are creating externalities that negatively impact other nations. It would be nice if every time we wanted to eat out, we could just walk into a neighbor's house and grab a bite or go to a restaurant and pass the bill to the table of the perceived better-off family in the room. But that is theft. Most people would prefer that you were invited to a dinner party, ask before expecting automatic assistance. Also, if we did work closer together, these nations would align with the United States rather than Russia, China, or Iran. They would embrace Western values that allow for cooperation and collegial growth, rather than simply grift and deflect responsibility. I think having greater cooperation across our continents with respect to the individual nations could be a good thing. But we must do it in an honest manner that is not creating harm. If we want to be more economically and diplomatically inclusive, then many of these nations should consider having a market economy and engaging in trade of goods and services that people want. Consider not smuggling drugs and narcotics or dangerous chemicals derived from China to American markets. We cannot hope that people will do the right thing, but ensure that they do before allowing them to partner with us. Colleges and universities do not admit people hoping that they can handle the workload and expectations. They usually vet them first and determine the probability of succeeding. There is always a vetting process. Remember all those calling for vetting people based on vaccine status. If you are going to get political, at least be honest. I could understand people who do not like what the mass deportations may look and feel like, but stop pretending that the people being removed are innocent because they are not. Sure, there may be some mistakenly arrested, but that is extremely rare. Did we stop vaccinating because of side effects? No, we just were more cautious with how we selected who can receive it or not.